It's not exactly a safe neighborhood, and to go out at night, you kind of have to know the neighborhood, really watch her back, and I think it's unfortunate she probably didn't know what kind of neighborhood she was in.
In 2013, the mysterious demise of Elisa Lam at the Cecil Hotel shocked the world. Her bizarre behavior in the elevator and the chilling discovery of her body in a water tank sparked endless theories, ranging from mental health struggles to supernatural forces. For years, no one truly knew what happened. But now, in 2025, shocking new evidence has finally come to light. It seems the case has been solved, and the truth is now in the open for the world to see. What could this truth be? Join us in this video as we uncover what really happened to Elisa Lam and why the truth behind her demise was kept hidden for so long. The vanishing that shook the internet. The truth about the Elisa Lam case. Elisa Lam's disappearance is one of the most haunting mysteries of the internet age, a case that has baffled criminal investigators and fascinated online sleuths for more than a decade. In early 2013, the 21-year-old Canadian college student set off on what should have been a dream trip, a solo adventure along the California coast. But within days of checking into the infamous Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, that dream twisted into a nightmare. Elisa vanished without a trace. No witnesses, no clear timeline, no answers. The Cecil Hotel, notorious for its grim history and unsettling ties to crime and demise, became the center of a full-scale investigation. Police scoured the building from top to bottom, yet found nothing. Then came the discovery that would spark an internet wildfire, a disturbing clip pulled from the hotel's elevator surveillance. In the grainy footage, Elisa is seen behaving strangely, pressing multiple buttons, hiding in the corner, stepping in and out, and gesturing towards someone or something no one else could see. Her movements were erratic. Her expression was unreadable. And just like that, she was gone. When the video hit the public, it exploded across the web. Some believed she was running from an attacker. Others suspected supernatural forces or sinister hotel staff. Still others blamed her behavior on her known bipolar disorder, but even that couldn't fully explain how she ended up deceased. Then, nearly 3 weeks after she vanished, the mystery deepened. On February 19, 2013, after multiple hotel guests complained about foul-tasting, discolored water and low pressure, a maintenance worker climbed up to the hotel's rooftop tanks. Inside one of them, he found her, Elisa's lifeless, naked body floating in the water. The official ruling? Accidental drowning, with her bipolar disorder listed as a contributing factor. But for many, that explanation only raised more questions. How did she access the roof, a supposedly locked and alarmed area? How did she get inside the heavy water tank and close the lid behind her? And most chilling of all, what really happened between the last moments captured in the elevator and her demise? Now, in 2025, the truth has finally surfaced. But instead of closure, it has reopened a door many were hoping would stay shut. For all we know, there might have been a cover-up, or it could have been something far more disturbing than the public ever imagined. But who was Elisa Lam before the headlines consumed her? Keep watching to find out. The life behind the mystery. Elisa Lam was born on April 30, 1991, in Vancouver, British Columbia, to David and Yina Lam, 2 immigrants from Hong Kong. Her parents eventually opened a restaurant in Burnaby, Canada, a well-loved spot called Paul's Restaurant, which the family ran together for years. Elisa started her first blog, Ether Fields, in 2010. She used this platform to express her love of fashion and photography, routinely releasing magazine cuttings, stunning editorials, and images that exemplified her artistic preferences. Her blog, however, turned into a digital record of her inner world, rather than just a collection of appealing items. Elisa frequently wrote honestly and candidly about her mental health issues. She expressed concern that her academic transcripts, which showed repeated class withdrawals and sporadic attendance, would reflect negatively on her. Yet she continued to document her views on psychology, emotion, and the complexities of the human experience with startling depth and clarity. Eventually, Elisa transitioned to Tumblr, announcing the move on her blog. She developed a new page titled Nouvelle Nouveau, which translates as News New. This Tumblr quickly became a canvas for her thoughts. She created hundreds of entries, combining her own ideas with curated quotes, artworks, film stills, and cultural allusions. Elisa's feed revealed an interest in classical literature, avant-garde cinema, experimental fashion, and emotional contemplation. However, there were darker overtones in her perfectly crafted digital scrapbook, including darkish photos, frightening statements, and reflections that hinted at something more troubled beyond the surface. Some readers eventually observed an increasing feeling of anguish and inner turmoil flowing through her articles, hints of a mind dealing with invisible troubles. Elisa had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, but her family kept this knowledge hidden for months after she disappeared. Bipolar disorder, which causes extreme emotional highs and lows, can occasionally include manic episodes followed by intense despair. Elisa used many substances to control her disease, such as Dexedrine, Wellbutrin, and mood stabilizers. For the most part, she led a stable life. She wasn't a danger to herself or to anyone else. There were no signs of collapse or crisis in the months leading up to her final trip. She was a student at the University of British Columbia, a bright, creative young woman with interests, hobbies, a loving family, and a future. Despite the challenges she faced, Elisa had hope, ambition, and perspective. She was much more than a headline or a case file. Tragically, that future was cut short. And in many ways, the mystery that began unraveling in December 2012 would go on to overshadow the vibrant, thoughtful life she had lived. But to understand what really happened, we must go back to that crucial timeline and examine the events that led to her final days. What led Elisa Lam from home to her fateful trip? Stay tuned to find out. Elisa's final journey begins. It all seemed like the start of a hopeful new chapter. On December 21, 2012, Elisa Lam first expressed her desire to travel to the West Coast. She mentioned wanting to visit a school in Santa Clara, possibly to transfer. Just a week later, on December 28th, she wrote on her Tumblr page that she had misplaced her phone. After the new year, on January 5, 2013, Elisa spoke again of her West Coast tour. This time, she mentioned the possibility of meeting up with people she'd connected with online, a move that felt adventurous, if not a little risky. 2 days later, on January 7th, she booked her flight and left a chilling message on Tumblr that hinted at uncertainty about the future. On January 9th, her posts took a darker turn. Due to growing paranoia, she wrote that she had created a new Facebook account, her fifth. In the same post, she shared a blurb she'd written earlier that day. But before it, she added a troubling preface. "This is the very start of my depression. Today, I am feeling very low." Then came the actual journey. On January 18th, Elisa reportedly arrived in Vancouver, the first stop on her trip. Just 4 days later, on January 22nd, she traveled to San Diego. But even in transit, things seemed to go awry. On January 24th, she missed her flight after getting lost at the airport. Later, she admitted online that much of her trip had involved doing the same things she normally did back home: writing, walking, browsing. Still, she added a cryptic line, "Every now and then, I do something entirely impulsive and reckless." It felt like a warning no one could have recognized at the time. By January 27th, she posted again, saying she had gone out with friends to a speakeasy, but also that she had lost another phone. This one wasn't hers, though. She had borrowed an old BlackBerry from a friend to use during the trip. The next day, January 28th, Elisa arrived in Los Angeles and checked into the infamous Cecil Hotel just off Skid Row. It was a budget hotel known for housing both short-term tourists and long-term residents. Within 2 days, the hotel made a quiet but unsettling move. Her roommates, strangers she had been assigned to share a space with, reported her unusual behavior. Hotel staff relocated her to a private room on the 5th floor so she wouldn't disturb the others. January 31st, 2013, the final day of Elisa Lam's planned stay in Los Angeles, marked the last time she was seen alive. She was spotted by a few anonymous hotel staff and, more notably, by Katie Orphan, a clerk at the last bookstore nearby. Orphan later described Elisa as friendly, energetic, and full of life. She recalled that Elisa had been chatting about the books she was buying, wondering aloud whether they would be too heavy to carry around during the remainder of her trip. According to her itinerary, Elisa was supposed to check out of the Cecil Hotel that same day and head north to Santa Cruz for the final leg of her West Coast tour. Throughout her trip, Elisa had kept in regular contact with her parents, calling nearly every night despite having lost her temporary cell phone. So when they didn't hear from her on January 31st, concern quickly turned into panic. Her parents, David and Elisa Lam, flew to Los Angeles and filed a missing persons report with the LAPD. In the first week of February, both the police and Elisa's parents conducted exhaustive searches in and around the Cecil Hotel. Officers brought in search dogs, but none of them could detect her scent. Her room was checked thoroughly and found to be eerily undisturbed. No signs of struggle, no suspicious items, nothing out of place. For a disappearance so strange, the lack of physical evidence was chilling. On February 6th, the LAPD released a public statement online, officially announcing Elisa Lam's disappearance and urging the public to come forward with any information. A press conference followed the next day, on February 7th, but it brought no breakthroughs, no sightings, no tips, no leads. Then came February 14th. That day, the LAPD released what would become the most infamous piece of evidence in the entire case. Surveillance footage from one of the hotel's elevators, time-stamped February 1st, the day after Elisa was last seen. The video showed Elisa entering the elevator alone. She pressed multiple buttons, appeared to hide in the corner, then darted to the door to look outside as if someone, or something, were pursuing her. At times, she seemed to speak or gesture towards something invisible. Her behavior was erratic, unsettling, and defied easy explanation. This footage, strange and ambiguous, quickly went viral. It drew global attention, igniting an online storm of theories and speculation. While it offered a brief glimpse into her final known moments, it left far more questions than answers. The search for Elisa Lam came to a grim end on February 19, 2013. That morning, a hotel maintenance worker responded to a string of disturbing complaints from guests. The water pressure was low, the taps were sputtering, and worse, the water itself had a strange taste and foul odor. The employee climbed to the roof to inspect the hotel's water tanks. When he opened one of the tanks and looked inside, he made a horrifying discovery: the naked body of Elisa Lam floating face up in the murky water. The LAPD was immediately notified. Within hours, the rooftop and its water system were sealed off as an active crime scene. Investigators and forensic experts combed the area, but the findings only deepened the mystery. 2 days later, on February 21st, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office officially ruled Elisa Lam's demise as accidental. The cause was listed as drowning, with bipolar disorder noted as a contributing, though not direct, factor. In June 2013, the coroner's full report, including toxicology results, was made public. It confirmed that Elisa had been found nude, her clothing floating nearby inside the tank, covered in a sandy particulate. Also retrieved were her hotel room key and wristwatch. No substances or alcohol were found in her system at levels that could have caused her demise. The report contained no revelations that explained how she ended up inside a locked water tank on a secured rooftop, alone and undetected. The explanation didn't satisfy the public. In fact, it only ignited a storm. What followed was an explosion of speculation. Thousands of theories, from logical to far-fetched, flooded the internet. People questioned how she accessed the roof without triggering any alarms. They asked why no one noticed she was missing during that critical window. Some suspected foul play. Others believed the hotel's dark history played a role, and a few claimed something far more sinister had been at work. Despite the official ruling, many were unconvinced. Doubts about the LAPD's investigation and inconsistencies in the reports became fodder for endless online debates, documentaries, podcasts, and conspiracy threads. In time, the Elisa Lam case became more than just a tragic story. It became a cultural obsession, a symbol of the internet age's darkest curiosities, a mystery that refused to rest. So what theories and speculations surrounded Elisa Lam's case? Let's find out. Unanswered questions and lingering doubts. While the investigation had determined how Elisa Lam passed, by accidental drowning, it initially offered no clear explanation as to how she ended up inside the water tank to begin with. The rooftop of the Cecil Hotel wasn't meant to be easily accessible. All doors and stairways leading up to it were locked, requiring staff-only passcodes and keys. Any unauthorized access was supposed to trigger a loud security alarm. Yet, somehow, Elisa had made it up there. Investigators later discovered that the building's fire escape, accessed via a window, may have provided a possible route. In fact, Elisa's scent trail was lost near one such window, suggesting she could have exited the building that way. Adding to the intrigue, a video surfaced online after her demise showing that the rooftop was surprisingly easy to reach through the fire escape. Even more unsettling, 2 of the water tank lids were found open at the time the footage was taken. But even if she reached the rooftop, more questions remained. Could Elisa have gotten into the tank on her own? Each of the 4 water tanks measured 4 by 8 feet, large, industrial-sized cylinders mounted on concrete blocks. They had no built-in ladders or stairs. Even maintenance workers had to use portable ladders to check the water levels. The tanks were sealed with heavy metal lids, and the idea of Elisa lifting one, climbing in, and then managing to close it from the inside seemed, at the very least, improbable. Fortunately or unfortunately, that last detail was clarified. The hotel employee who found Elisa's body stated that the lid had been open when he made the discovery, eliminating the concern of her somehow sealing herself inside. But even with that information, doubts remained. Why hadn't the police dogs, which searched the hotel and its rooftop soon after her disappearance, detected any trace of her? Speculation swirled. Some believed Elisa may have been under the influence of illicit substances, a theory tied to her behavior in the infamous elevator footage. However, the toxicology screening revealed no evidence of substance use. However, some theorists contended that if she had taken something, It may have broken down in her system, owing to the body's decomposition in water over time, or the medications may have been too rare or synthetic to be discovered by a conventional screen. Another possibility is related to her mental health. Elisa's autopsy indicated that her prescription substance levels were unexpectedly low in her system. When combined with the number of pills left in her bottles, this suggested she was either under-medicating or had just stopped taking her medications entirely, which might have resulted in a severe manic or psychotic episode. Despite these facts, the investigation yielded no decisive conclusions. The physical facts were documented, but the why behind them, the human motivation, the final thoughts, and the underlying cause of her unusual behavior remained unknown. Even the autopsy report, the official word intended to provide clarity, generated new worries. Many onlookers noted how sparse the material appeared. Notably, it made no mention of the results of Elisa's rape or fingernail kits, and it was unclear whether either had been processed properly. This lack of transparency created a gaping vacuum in what should have been conventional investigation practice. The report contained an especially unsettling detail: the sight of subcutaneous blood accumulating in Elisa's anal area. Some believed that this could be a sign of mistreatment. However, one pathologist disagreed, claiming that the pooling may have simply been caused by bloating during decomposition. Nonetheless, the discovery of a prolapsed rectum exacerbated the unpleasant character of the findings and raised concerns. Despite these oddities, the coroner's team determined that the demise was unintentional, though they appeared uncertain, delivering a judgment that felt more like an assumption than a fact. But the mystery did not stop with her physical remains. After Elisa passed, her Tumblr blog, Nouvelle Nouveau, remained active. New posts appeared, many of which resembled the type of content she published daily during her life. This could have been explained by Tumblr's Queue feature, which allows users to plan future postings. Still, the timing and content of the updates sparked widespread speculation. Elisa's phone was never recovered. It wasn't found with her body. It wasn't located in her hotel room either. The continued activity on her blog raised an eerie question. Were the posts simply the result of a scheduled queue? Or had someone else, a hacker, a thief, someone who may have been involved, gained access to her account? To this day, no one truly knows whether those blog updates had any connection to her demise, or if they were just another strange thread in an already tangled web of unknowns. What was supposed to be a closed case only grew darker the deeper it was examined, and the silence around these lingering questions left many to wonder. Was the truth about Elisa Lam being buried right alongside her? How did Elisa's story echo beyond reality into chilling fiction? Keep watching to find out. A haunting resemblance in pop culture. In the months and years that followed Elisa Lam's demise, public fascination with her story only deepened. But it wasn't just the bizarre circumstances or unanswered questions that held people's attention. It was the eerie way her demise mirrored a chilling piece of fiction. Many began drawing comparisons between Elisa's real-life tragedy and the 2005 horror film Dark Water. The American remake, itself based on a 1996 short story by Japanese author Koji Suzuki, tells the story of a mother and daughter who move into a dilapidated apartment building. Strange occurrences begin to unfold. An elevator that barely works, and dark, foul-smelling water pouring from the faucets. Their investigation leads them to the building's rooftop, and to a shocking discovery: the decomposing body of a young girl in the water tank. She had been missing for over a year. The similarities were impossible to ignore. A malfunctioning elevator, contaminated water, a rooftop water tank. A young girl lost. Fiction and reality had seemingly crossed paths, and many began to ask, was Elisa Lam's fate somehow inspired by, or even foreshadowed by, this work of horror? The Lam case didn't just echo through internet forums and conspiracy threads, it also made its way into pop culture. Just 3 months after Elisa's body was discovered, ABC's hit series Castle aired its season finale titled Watershed. In the episode, a woman is found dead in the rooftop water tank of a hotel, eerily similar to the Cecil. There's elevator footage, mysterious circumstances, and a haunting backstory that mirrors the real case. And while the fictional demise is eventually tied to undercover activity and crime, the resemblance to Lam's story was undeniable. That same influence showed up again in ABC's other hit drama, How to Get Away with Murder. In the show's first season, a student's disappearance unravels slowly through flashbacks until it's revealed that her body was hidden in a rooftop water tank all along. The truth only surfaces when a maintenance worker is called to investigate issues with water pressure. Just like what happened at the Cecil. Whether coincidence, inspiration, or something more unsettling, Elisa Lam's story began bleeding into the fictional world. Art imitating life, or life eerily mirroring the darkest corners of art. In Hong Kong, the very place her family once called home, the influence was immediate. In 2014, acclaimed actor Nick Chung made his directorial debut with the horror thriller Hungry Ghost Ritual. In one chilling scene, a ghost terrorizes a woman inside an elevator, with the entire moment captured in grainy, security-style footage, eerily reminiscent of the infamous elevator video that captured Elisa's final known movements. The parallels weren't subtle. Audiences felt it. And they remembered. Meanwhile, in mainland China, director Liu Hao announced a bold plan to turn Elisa's story into a feature film just a year after her demise. Committed to authenticity, he even traveled to Los Angeles and stayed at the Cecil Hotel for several days, immersing himself in the unsettling atmosphere that had become synonymous with the case. Chinese outlets buzzed with reports that beloved actress Gao Yuanyuan might be cast in the lead role, another sign that Elisa's story was evolving into modern legend. Hollywood wasn't far behind. In March 2014, screenwriting brothers Brandon and Philip Murphy sold a horror script called The Bringing, inspired by the psychological toll of the Lam investigation. The plot follows a detective whose own sanity slowly unravels while exploring the eerie details of the case. The project, however, drew sharp criticism. Many felt it was too soon, an exploitation of a tragedy that hadn't even begun to heal. Yet interest remained strong. At one point, acclaimed Danish director Nicholas Winding Refn was attached to direct. Later, Jeremy Lovering was tapped to lead the project under Sony Pictures. The film's production was delayed, but the fascination endured. In Elisa's hometown of Vancouver, her story inspired something more tender. That same year, indie pop duo The Zolas released a music video for their song Ancient Mars, a gentle and idealized portrayal of what Elisa's last day might have looked like. A young woman wanders the streets of LA, smiling, exploring, soaking in the city's chaotic beauty. The video was filled with quiet moments, sunlight through car windows, alley murals, random smiles. It bugged me how tidily people explained away her disappearance with substances or mental illness, said lead singer Zach Gray, who had once attended the University of British Columbia just like Elisa. We wanted people to feel like she was real, a girl with dreams, not just a headline. Her story continued to inspire other artists too. Then came 2015, and with it, one of the most watched horror series on television. As American Horror Story teased its 5th season, speculation quickly swirled. Showrunner Ryan Murphy confirmed it would take place in a haunted hotel in downtown Los Angeles. Fans and critics alike pointed to one unmistakable source of inspiration: Elisa Lam. While Murphy never mentioned her name directly, he referenced surveillance footage of a young woman stepping into an elevator and never being seen again. For many, the message was clear. Elisa Lam had become a ghost story. A story that crossed oceans and mediums, that wove itself into pop culture, that echoed in elevator scenes and whispered through water tanks. In 2017, the indie rock group Sun Kill Moon released 2 tracks, Window Sash Waits and Stranger Than Paradise, as part of their expansive album Common as Light and Love Are Red Valleys of Blood. In them, frontman Mark Kozelek pushed a controversial idea: that the entire event had been a hoax. "I've come to the conclusion that nobody died in the water tank," he said in an interview. "There's no way to identify the girl on the elevator, as her face is pixelated." For some, it was a conspiracy run wild. For others, it was a reflection of the blurred line between truth and spectacle in the internet age. In March 2016, the case gained new momentum thanks to BuzzFeed Unsolved. Hosts Ryan Bergera and Shane Medage, often humorously referred to as Ryan and Brent, checked into the Cecil Hotel and retraced Elisa's steps. Their investigation was part real mystery, part ghost hunt, bringing fresh eyes to a case that continued to puzzle the public. They didn't find answers, but they helped ensure no one forgot the questions. By 2018, Elisa's story was making its way into full-length films again. The horror movie followed leaned heavily on the real-life case, borrowing elements like the viral elevator footage and the haunting setting of a cursed hotel. Instead of a rooftop water tank, the body is discovered in the basement, and the explanation involves the infamous Korean elevator game, a paranormal internet ritual supposedly capable of summoning spirits. Though fictionalized, the use of Lam's final moments felt all too familiar. That same year, the industrial rock band Skinned released a haunting single simply titled Elisa Lam. The accompanying music video recreated the original elevator footage almost shot for shot, plunging viewers back into the uncanny world of the Cecil. The eerie tone, paired with the distorted vocals, acted more as a tribute than a theory, an artistic echo of unresolved grief. In January 2021, the Ghost Adventures team returned to the now infamous Cecil Hotel for a 2-hour special. The goal was to explore not only the paranormal energy of the building, but also the possibility that Lam's demise might be linked to something otherworldly. The special aired just as public interest surged once more. A few days later, on February 10, 2021, Netflix released crime scene The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, a 4-part docuseries that reignited the world's interest. The series dove deep into the facts, theories, and emotional aftermath of Lam's story. It featured interviews with hotel staff, law enforcement, internet sleuths, and even people who stayed at the Cecil while the case unfolded. While the show aimed to debunk sensational myths, it also highlighted how deeply the story had embedded itself into modern digital folklore. But Elisa Lam's presence extended even beyond English-speaking media. In 2024, celebrated Argentinian author Mariana Enriquez included a short story titled Un lugar soleado para gente sombría, a sunny place for somber people, in her collection of the same name. The tale follows a journalist investigating a bizarre cult that holds seances near Cecil's rooftop water tank, rituals meant to contact Elisa's spirit and uncover what happened to her. Part fiction, part homage, it was a chilling reminder that even in different languages, in different corners of the world, Lam's story continues to haunt. It's been over a decade since Elisa Lam's demise, but her image, nervously peering from an elevator, hands gesturing in confusion, eyes searching for something unseen, remains seared into our collective memory. She is more than a victim, more than a case, more than a symbol. She is a mystery we can't stop retelling. So, what are your thoughts on Elisa Lam's case? Do you think it has been finally solved? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video shown on your screen to catch up on your favorite celebrity stories. See you there.